Welcome back to Marvel Media Podcast, or welcome to if it's your first time. I'm Blake, and today is just a solo review of Creed 3, which I just recently saw. Um, I believe this is Micheal B Jordan's directorial debut. I know he directed this, but I think it was his debut. Um, Obviously, starring himself, Micheal B Jordan, alongside Tessa Thompson back in her role. His mom's back in his role, and then this one has Jonathan Majors coming in, playing. I mean, if you saw the trailer, you'd pretty much know the story of this. Let's be honest here. It's not super in-depth review here. Let's be real. Um, but if you saw the trailer, Jonathan Majors is playing one of Adonis's friends. They grew up. He went to jail for a long time. Adonis didn't go to jail. He gets out of jail, and he's upset that he feels he's seen Adonis has lived what his life should have been had he not gone to jail. Um, and so you know, from there, it just kind of continues into the whole rivalry that they have. But um, just to start into some plot storyline things, I just want to say right off the bat, I thought this movie definitely was good. I really enjoyed it. Personally, I think I might like Creed 1 and 2 better. But that doesn't take away from this movie. I think it's just because I really liked the first two. Um, and this one, they kind of tried to go in a little bit different direction, which is understandable. I mean, this is a build on from the Rocky franchise, um, obviously with based on Apollo Creed's son, if you haven't seen them. But this one it tries to be a little bit more different, which, like I said, I get. I mean, there's what 6 or 7 Rocky movies and then 2 Creed movies, so I get them trying to want to go in a little bit different direction. This is the first one without Sylvester Stallone playing Rocky Balboa. Well, no one's Rocky Balboa. It's not like somebody else was playing him, but Rocky's not in this movie, um, which is kind of weird. It just felt a little weird. It didn't really take away. They didn't even acknowledge him at all throughout this movie. Like not even a throwaway comment about like Rocky's in Philly or something, because this is pretty much based in Los Angeles. Um, which in Rocky 2 or Creed 2, we saw him, Adonis, and them, they moved out to LA. But so it was kind of weird not even to get like a throwaway comment, just to be like, oh, Rocky's doing good in Philly, or, if you want to say he moved up to, I think, Vancouver is where his kid lived. Just no throwaway comments. They kind of acknowledge him. I thought was a little weird. Um, but this one definitely, it was I thought it was a pretty tonal shift from the past Creed movies, and then even if you want to compare it to like the Rocky movies, um, this one definitely had a heavier focus, I feel like, on the outside storyline than the actual boxing. Um, which I mean, it doesn't completely take away because once you get to that point of the classic training montage that you're going to get in a Rocky movie or a Creed movie, once you get to that moment, it's really good, and then the boxing match at the end is really well, like the fight choreography. It looks really well. Again, he does Micheal B. Jordan directing this. Kind of does his own thing with the style of how the like actual match is filmed, which I thought was interesting. Again, like I said, I get it. You're trying to breathe some fresh air into a franchise. I mean, if you want to consider it a build from Rocky, this is like the 10th one basically. Um, I think so. 'Cause I think there were 7 Rockies, but um, but I did like it. I liked what he kind of did differently with the boxing stuff, but it doesn't take away. There still are phenomenal boxing when there is boxing matches. It still looks really good. The camera work is really well, and there's some cool shots in it. But like I said, this one I feel like it did focus a little bit more on other storylines and kind of almost like deeper storylines in a sense of other stuff. Obviously, these creeds have been pretty. I mean, the first one, spoiler if you haven't seen them. In the first one, Rocky has cancer that he battles through, so it's not like it's completely new to the franchise to have a deep meaning going on. Obviously, you had Apollo Creed in the old Rocky. Big spoiler if you haven't seen those. But in the Rocky movies, you have Apollo Creed died in the ring, and then it's all about Rocky trying to get redemption, fighting for his friend and against Ivan Drago in that one. So it's not like Creed or the Rocky franchise isn't new to deeper meanings, but I just feel like this one kind of focused more on those and then had some boxing as compared to being a boxing movie with some of those deeper meanings in it. Um, but like I said, I still really enjoyed this. I thought the acting was really well done. Of course, I mean, when you have as big of names as you have in this, you kind of expect that to happen. Um, Jonathan Majors, basically, anytime he was on the screen. He kind of stole the scene just because of his mannerisms and his character. You just didn't know exactly what he was going to do next, which was really interesting. Tessa Thompson, I loved her in these movies. Because I just say loved her because I don't know if they're going to continue Creed. I mean, they left it open that they can if they want to, but if they want to go with a younger generation, I don't know if they will. But I really like Bianca in these. Her character is really interesting to me. Um, which again, like I said, I don't know if they're going to continue with Creed or if they're going to kind of have Creed pass the torch to someone else. They kind of hinted in this one that there's a new up and comer that Creed was training with, so I don't know if they plan on passing the torch and Micheal B Jordan's going to get away from this franchise, maybe take over as directing them. I don't know, but when they're together, Micheal B Jordan and Tessa Thompson, that is Creed and Bianca. I love their on-screen chemistry throughout all three of them. I think that's part of why I like the first two so much, especially the first one, because I just love their relationship in the first one. I just think it's really interesting, and like I said, it feels like a boxing movie with that stuff added in, but I feel like that stuff's added in very well done, so that I enjoyed when it wasn't boxing seeing that stuff. Um, and like I said, this one kind of felt a little bit more of a shift. Of this one had more other topics going on, and then we also had boxing to take place. But like I said, it doesn't take away from this movie. I still think this is a really good movie. I just personally prefer the first two more because they just had more of that Rocky feel, that kind of underdog story, and him just really having to, like, I don't know, just the montage and how deep that stuff was. I enjoyed that stuff a lot in that one. Um, and so overall, I definitely think Creed 3 is worth seeing. I think it still fits in with this franchise. It's still a good third movie. And like I said, I mean, it's just my personal preference. I think the other two are better, but I still think this is a good movie and worth a watch. It doesn't take away from this one. But other than that, I mean, I don't have a whole lot. I mean, this isn't going to be a super in-depth, review of this movie, as you kind of have an idea what you're walking into when you're going into a third of a franchise, arguably a tenth, I guess, if you want to continue, consider the Rocky movies and then this one as all together in like one huge franchise. You kind of know what you're going into, so it's not like there's going to be any major, um, big takeaways. All that, I really just wanted to cover is, like I said, Micheal B. Jordan's directorial debut, I believe. Really well done. Excited for his work in the future because, like I said, this was filmed. It looked really good. The boxing looked really good, like in scene, and the kind of different things that he did with it to make it feel a little bit different than the other ones. I think for me personally, they worked. They landed. It was really good. Um, so I'm excited for Micheal B. Jordan to continue, directing. He was good. Acting wise, again, Micheal B. Jordan was phenomenal as Creed. Jonathan Majors was a great addition to the franchise, and he killed it in his role. Like I said, to me, anytime he was on screen, I was kind of looking at him and just seeing what he was doing and what he was saying, because I thought his character was so interesting, and just the way he acted as his character, his kind of mannerisms and just the way he was. Weren't sure what he was going to do next, which I thought was really interesting and just kind of stole the show for me. Um, Tessa Thompson as Bianca, again, she was great. Would have loved more of her. I mean, she was still a part of this movie for sure. But like I said, I love her and Adonis's relationship, so I would have just loved to see more of her, just selfishly because I enjoyed it. Um, their daughter, who was born in the second one, this is skips forward some years. So Amari, she's believe I want to say 6-ish. I think I don't know if they said for sure. Um, she was a pretty interesting character. We saw in the well, obviously in the first one, Bianca has hearing loss, that's going to continue in her life, and then we saw in the second one that when Amara was born, that they weren't sure if she was going to be able to hear or not, and it was hinted that she couldn't. And then this one, it confirms that as she's older, she's deaf. So I personally really like seeing her as a deaf character, and we saw there's a lot of signing throughout this movie whenever she was on screen, obviously, between you know Bianca, Adonis, and then I don't remember Adonis's mom's name, but she was back in her role from the first ones. Um, but she was in this one as well, and she was also signing. So I just like that. I don't know. I'm kind of weird. I always just really like whenever there's that kind of I don't really know how to describe it. Whenever there's deaf characters and we're giving them inclusion or just showing deaf characters, I always enjoy it. I took several years of sign language. I just find sign language really, I don't know. I enjoyed taking my time taking sign language. I think it's an interesting language. So I just like seeing that representation. And to me, sign language is really interesting to watch on screen to see it have that. So I like that they, included that kind of thing instead of just being like, oh, she can hear again, and like not paying attention to that whole importance of Bianca's hearing loss. And this movie kind of goes more into that a little bit. So I really enjoyed that. So Amara, she had that, so you saw more sign language anytime she was on screen. Um, and that actress, she did really good. Like I said, she was younger. I feel like a lot of times, if you watch this channel before, we kind of are not the biggest fan of child actors. A lot of times, they kind of take away from the movie. We feel like, or they just take us out of the film. But I thought when she was on screen, she was really good. She didn't take away, and I thought it was kind of interesting her little dynamic with not just Bianca, but also Adonis's relationship with her was kind of interesting whenever we got those scenes. But yeah, overall, like I said, Creed 3, if I had to rate it out of 10, probably going to give it like an 8.1, 8.2, somewhere in that range, I would say. Like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I definitely think it's worth a watch. I think in, a movie theater, I'm a big fan of boxing movies, so I think the bigger the screen, the louder, just the more you can feel when there's those boxing matches, the more you actually feel it, the better. So I would say this is definitely worth seeing it in theaters, but overall, I enjoyed Creed 3. I think it was good for the franchise. If that wraps up Adonis Creed's story, I would be happy with it. If they want to continue, I'm always happy with it because I love Micheal B Jordan. So um, that's going to do it for this video. Like it, subscribe to the channel as always. Comment down below if you've seen Creed, if you've seen all of them, or just, if you want to see 3, let us know down below. And we'll see you guys in the next one.